what a way to kick off this epic final between Leviatán and G2 Esports. Lev, they managed to pull it through in overtime with a 15 to 13 victory. But there you can see all the people enjoying the block party here today. We're having a grand old time. But most importantly, we're watching some damn good Valorant. That was awesome to watch. Of course, Goldenmore here along with Mimi and Ender as we break everything down from what we just saw. And let's just jump right into this, because coming into this, all eyes were on, for Leviatán, Aspas. For G2, the IGL, Valen. And for the most part, they both delivered big time. But man, oh man, Mazzino had a case to be made today.
Look, if OT was going to keep going, he was going to drop 48 on this map and beat the Aspas record. Mazzino absolutely came alive in that second half. I mean, he was plus 19 kills over deaths. No one on G2 apart from Valen even got 19 kills to their name. He had his ult up in every single OT. Just absurd play from him.
It was ridiculous. This was G2's map to win. They had a great start to the game. They won the pistol. They had a massive advantage.
Won both pistols.
Yes, and then Leviatán came alive. They had a lot of sloppy moments at the start of this game, but in these last few rounds and in OT, it was really incredible. I think they played around Aspas's Neon super well. He was delivering a ton of massive moments, and I think Mazzino is just so good as that second man, following Aspas up, setting him up with util, getting those trades, and because of that, he so often goes forgotten because he's on a team with Aspas, but this guy has been ridiculous all year.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's also interesting, I'm not sure if I'm fully bought into the attack Neon up in the majority of rounds that Lev were playing, but it ended up being Tex and Mazzino that were entering in a lot of their attacking rounds later on into the half, and Mazzino was still coming up with so many different kills.
Yeah, no, it was certainly weird to see that play out, but it seemed to have worked out for them in the long run, right? They walk away with the dub. But for now, though, continuing to dive more into that, I do feel like what we saw from G2 early on, though, we saw some great defense, saw some great ideas. We saw them really work the map, work Leviatán. Unfortunately, it just petered off toward the end there.
They have the best defensive Lotus in the league right now. They're winning almost 10% more rounds on average than the average team in the league. They are excellent on this map generally, and I think we saw a lot of moments of that. I think Valen had some really good calls. They were shutting down Aspas early on a lot of these aggressive looks, and honestly, the synergy between these players looked super clean, but that all slipped in the second half for G2.
Yeah, I think obviously Valen was able to actually get a lot of these stacks going, even into the B site after Lev got into good situations when they tried to work back through Baby Door, through the door from the mound area. G2 just had stacks over here, and this round was a bit bizarre. The spike isn't able to actually go down and be planted, so that round slips away from Leviatán. There's another round later in the second half of the game too, round 17 here, where again Lev have great winning chances, but somehow watch Jonah P over in Waterfall on this flank, fully sprinting through, getting that kill, bringing a 3v5 back into G2's favor. I think without some of these heroic, strange rounds from G2, Leviatán would have actually run away with this game.
I was honestly pretty convinced, seeing these rounds in particular, that we were going to get something similar to the lower final in stage 1, and to some extent that game against Crew, where Leviatán, under pressure, start making mistakes, rounds slip away, but they locked in when they needed to, and it was G2 making those little mistakes and snowballing this game out of their control.
I think also the adjustment that Leviatán made to start playing much more aggressively on their defense paid off massively. You saw it in so many of the later rounds of the second half, but especially in OT, that final round, right?
Yes.
Fighting up into the front of B. As they're getting pinched, they're paranoying, they're fault lining out into mound. They were so decisive in really a chaotic round. That could have easily fallen away, but they were fully committed to the call, and it worked out beautifully.
And I think that defensive aggression all came down to Mazzino and Aspas playing on that Neon and the Breach respectively. And that has some tidings for the rest of the series, because we're going on to Haven, which is another map where Lev has been playing that Neon Breach. They've looked good. That comeback win on map 1 very well could win them this final.
Yeah, well, Lev is setting themselves up for success, but map 1 was undoubtedly incredible. Good news, we're just getting started. Let's go ahead and send it back over to your casters for Haven. Here's Bren and Sideshow.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, map 2 now coming up. We got Haven in our best of 5 grand finals here for the Americas 2024 season end. And honestly, it's a map where, you know, I used to think about it as a bit of a playground for IGLs like Haven, like with Valin, Finesse with that attack side, calling and such. But for Leviatán, it's the first map that they have decided to select in this very kind of one-sided, skewed, almost map select, where they don't have the option of removing some of their least favorite maps from the pool.
At the same time, we have seen some slip-ups from Lev, and we actually haven't seen them play on this map very much. They've only played it twice, I believe, this season. I'm a little concerned, though. I'm going to be looking at Valen's attack side calling, and that seems like a weird place to be at very early on in this BO5 final. But the reason that I'm focused on Valen here, heading into attack side Haven, is because I feel like he was unable to pick apart the defensive setups of Lev on Lotus. And when that's your first pick, and when Lev are broadly speaking just running 4-player control rubble and then retakes, I think higher of Valen. I think his calling recently over the course of certainly the back half of this season should have been able to dismantle that. So we're seeing the most standard compositions for these teams in terms of what they've run recently. Aspas again on Neon, so the first 2 maps, we're going to be seeing him on that pick.
We're certainly about to find out, aren't we? And this is a map where Leviatán have put a lot of work into. Defensive half, aggressive setups as well, just trying to crunch players out towards a lobby, whatnot. Been breaking it down. They've only shown it twice, as you mentioned as well. One of the maps was, you know, them getting pushed much more than the other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yesterday they lost it to Crew. And a reminder again that this Leviatán team has just come through a BO5 lower bracket final that went the entire distance.
Yeah.
All 5 maps, barely any time to reset, prep, recover. And yet they're looking really strong here out the gates.
Let's get it started then. Map 2 here in our best of 5. Haven for the pistol, and a lot of aggression by Leviatán. Up on the defense, straight away. It's that A-lobby control. That was on the cards for them, and they're rewarded nice and early with IC being dropped. Aspas the one to deliver it and waiting it out as well. The smokes are going to dissipate and fade. Still committed, still grouped up.
Some revenge for Aspas on the pistol. It was Icy that delivered G2 both pistols on Lotus, and they still lost the map.
Right here, revealing area.
Down through the back though, clears out most of B. A lot to be asked of Leaf here into this spot as well. It's a common angle. Surely should be seeing this one coming as well. Plenty of more players gliding past, cuts up the crosshair placement.
Reaction.
Up for the trade.
Right here.
This is a reaction, isn't it, as well? You can hear the scurrying of the footsteps. Com is the only one that was, well, he's going to be seeing this one. No way does he miss that. My God, shot got off, but again, adjustment by Trent was just sublime. Spike going to be planted now. They don't have control of most of this one. Here's a flash inside the smoke. That is cheeky to catch out King, suspecting that they lost control of that part of the map, and it leaves it just down to Tex now.
Well, that is fantastic deathballing from G2 there. Spike not planted for the rest of the team, though. No aftershock.
Yeah, no one's...
There is a chance here that Tex could get at least half and make this difficult.
Paranoia to start. He at least gets the half as well. There's that win con earned as well, and he's chopped this one up. Sight being divided, but just can't quite wrangle his sight onto any sort of the players here. So G2 with a pistol round win, despite the fact again that they lost that opening. Icy dropped. G2 have a habit of that, to be honest. You know, they get themselves down in these player disadvantages, 4v5s, yet somehow always the calling is enough to sail them through it.
Yeah, I think that was a fantastic pivot, but also, what is that shot from Trent onto Com? Most of the time, 90% of the time there, Com is getting that kill very cleanly, and I can't blame him. It's just a nasty flick from Trent. Really well done in that moment to bail his team out of a tough spot. G2 take their 3rd out of 3 pistols. Lev have really struggled with pistol rounds in some big games this year. Lower bracket final of stage 1 against G2. They only won 1 out of 10 pistol rounds. And the first 5, I think it was, yesterday all went the way of Crew.
Very committed here, at least onto the eco. Com is able to get the one, trying to bait it up and set it up here. Pistols in hand, they are doing the work of it, Leaf. Doesn't quite have the weapon for the job, does he? Still flashed up, blinded up, but he's covered. Over the shoulder, that's Trent. Making sure to lock this one down. Aspas in the midst of all of it, the chaos, he's found himself that upgrade, and maybe a few of these players, again, sights need to be trained cleanly onto these angles. He hears it, just a 1 foot step, and on just enough damage, disengages, that discipline at work. Aspas thinking about going for a second go with things again, but it leaves it just out of Trent now. 1v2.
He's heard both footsteps leaving. Excellent information for him to be able to play around.
Yeah, I mean, Lev not interested in hiding their intent, are they? Look at the sound cues, and as soon as that dart is revealed to the map, they realize, oh, wait a second, giving up the entirety of A. Very winnable still for Trent.
Shock dart would take down Aspas as well.
In times like this as well, doesn't really want to risk pulling out the util. It's doubled up from Lev again. Going to be using Aspas as a bit of bait. Still ADS up and spotted a second one. Needs to just land it. The composure not quite there. Tex. Got to be careful dropping down from there, man. But still, he'll seal it up. That is an eco round win. And a misstep from G2.
I guess it doesn't matter if you're not winning the pistol rounds as long as you can instantly respond with a thrifty. It was a series of thrifty rounds that got Lev back into the game, or at least kept that gap minimal throughout Lotus, to the point where Mazzino could completely take over at the end. G2 letting the fundamental stuff slip here. Unusual to see a team as wonderfully structured and very tight as G2, letting anti-ecos slip away from them.
The economy's right back up there here for Leviatán. They've even managed to afford to get the operator into Aspas's hands. G2, deep smoke and a dart as well. Mazzino to flying at least with a stun and an aftershock, seeking to delay. Now stacking of a couple of these bodies as well. The drone's broken, kill trips as well. This is being a real nuisance. Icy, of course, is going to be falling. Players are going to be swarming, though, into the side as well. Bodies trying to play with that player advantage. It's G2 with control of it, at least now for the C site.
Deploying drone.
Was praying at least maybe for a bit of chip damage being done here with the shock darts.
Spike planted.
Flying through. Slight miss there in terms of these lineups as well. Has to deal with a little bit of it, and playing this retake, the Yob Aspas wants nothing to do with it. Maybe there's a gun to be retrieved, but it's risky business. Not quite.
Hoping that he could stop G2 from being able to get those upgrades, or at least get himself a rifle where he could have tried to commit to the retake.
Do you even play this?
I don't know if you can,
man. Trying to head into this one with the operator again. The first flick and adjustment of shot missing from Aspas to expect it. Suspecting the backside player with Valen removed again. Dart laid forwards, but that stun just connected with a friendly fire. Leaf. Oh my, still healthy and still in the fight. A thrifty win is answered back in kind. G2 up to 2.
So similar to what we were seeing in the back end of Lotus. Teams trading blows with lower economy. The Lev players perhaps overcommitting slightly there to the anchoring on site. That swing from Mazzino. He has been so good today in terms of getting kills in difficult spots like that. But there have also been some moments where the looseness with which he plays has ended up being a lifeline for G2 to grab onto. Economy flips in the other direction.
Once more familiar scenes here. It's an early fault line though.
Aspas pushing
and
mid.
the aftershock, and Aspas deep push down mid. Paranoia as well, sweeping through. A lot of chaos and a lot of noise. It's all about expectations, whether or not G2 are going to be ready to receive this one, but
Leaf is watching.
Aspas doesn't want to overstep it. That drone as well, the re-clear. There's that discipline.
Yeah, nice.
Aspas is trying to make the most of it here. He's kind of out alone though, on an island. There was no support.
Really, really well done. Aspas used his wall at the beginning of the round and Leaf was listening out for it. Realized he got past the turret. These are the kind of things that you need to see both of these teams controlling. Scrappy situations, other team trying to make risky plays to see if they can get the win on the Thrifties. And you just got to control the game. Here's another risk being taken.
Yeah, and it's Leaf on 30 health, watching the flank as well. One shot will do it to the chest as well. A little bit sleep at the wheel, still manages it, but he's not going to be expecting King. He wrapped his way around and through, and now rejoining potentially with the rest of his team. Rifles gained.
What do you do? What do you do if you're G2 here? Do you try to push spawn? You only know that there's one player behind.
Yeah, not a lot of information to work with here, and they've even planted for the front section of the site. So instead, looking to try and fight hard and fast now, out through this short angle. Trent jiggles, takes the contacts. Util flies, but a bit of a team flash as well. Blunders occurring, and up through A long as well. They've already walked their way through. Icy, he's not watching for this cross-up. Comma's got so much space in the midst of all of this, and a tap reveals his position once more. Fights to be taken out through short. They're smoked off and away. Com blindly away here with the dart as well, spraying but is well covered, out and through. He's taken matters into his own hands, pressing the advantage. King now sticking, having a defuse, but managed in kind once more. To deliver that round straight to Leviatán. It's another bloody thrifty round.
No team able to stabilize in these spots. Whoever's willing to take the risk, whoever's willing to play to win, the team that comes out on top. Feels like one of the moments where G2 actually give way too much space and respect to their opponents. I think you'd said it. Con was just afforded a ton of space on site there. The plant goes down, everyone plays for short, but that also means that you're allowing the Lev players to stand in any spot they like.
Yeah.
All right, how are G2 going to win this one then?
He's going to be following the script once more. I mean, it's literally part of the course, isn't it? A lot of util being expended out towards C. The difference, though, so Aspas is here. A lot of these Leviatán players ready to put a stop to it. And G2, they don't want anything to do with it. Not for now. Nana Swarm breaks some of that util out through Garage. It's just sowing a bit of deceit into the mix as well. Just trying to see if Leviatán will go for a bit of that re-clear.
Finding these timings after the drone util is used, a very common tactic that Valen likes to go into. But they're worried that somebody could be posted up. So the drone in the other direction, making it feel like they're going towards A, but I don't think they'd ever really be pathing in that direction and giving it away with the Sova util. Lev have got a nice read here.
Yeah, it's a crossfire. Dart in the back as well. Needs to be managed. Stun. It's that connection. King stood in place, anchored, feet onto the floor. He's the one who's got to push this one back. That's if G2 even choose to commit into it, but still 35 seconds left. Might not really have any other options. Aspas has full control of the deep long section of C.
30 seconds
There is no
left.
pivot possibilities, and so they're going to have to meet these bodies head on once more. Lev have to do it. King dropping them all down to the ground. And the cross up as well. Leaf just about finding it, but still his position is noted. Time running short, and away here, everything being watched for Leviatán. This time it goes to the expected result. The team with the better weapons ends up winning the day.
Who would have thought? Lev had such a nice read on what was happening there. Once more, you know, Valen's attacks like calling, not finding anywhere near the same level of success compared to the last time that these two teams faced off. I really did not expect Lev to have been able to adjust their defense and the reads that they're getting based on that one clash, especially considering they were going straight into back-to-back BO5s. But they've got such a nice idea about how Valen's moving around the map. Aspas fighting straight in.
That's a solo play, man. He's heavily alone here. There's a Hunter's Fury. Cuts it up, not enough for the kills. A lot of damage done, though. A lot of players from G2 going to be weak here in that rotation around, and Con was just none the wiser. Not expecting that mid could be pushed up and pressed like that kind of position here, but it's a double face out wide. No util in their hands, not even necessary. Instead, it just cuts it up enough for Trent to be plucked out of the picture, and now it's trying to get over towards A. G2.
Mazzino.
Yeah, ult committed. Mazzino again might just be that playmaker. No way, straight through the box. It's Icy. Just drops him. Fades the black there. Sent back to the spectator screen, and massive player advantage now for G2.
A fake smoke, making it feel like you're smoking that off to retake through the normal avenues. But King gives himself a little area if he wants to try to push through it.
And they are low.
Jonah's got to watch both of these. It's his job to try to cover long and short. Valen's got the spot.
And it's still not solid. And these players are as weak as they are. They've all started to fall. Leaf is miles away. NoFF reveals it, and now he has to get a move on. Nana Swarm, not potentially even there as well. It's just being stuck all the way, covered into the corner. Nana Swarm will force it back away, gives him that lifeline, but swinging wide. Tex controls it all.
How have they pulled that one out? A horrible opening to the round from Leviatán. Salvaged. King's positioning. Honestly, they had players watching it. Valen, weak in hell, but then also to have Jonah P a default, and King dismisses them both.
It's these skills here. I mentioned all the players are weak. It didn't even matter. It was all precision. It was all headshots.
Yeah, that's just fantastic impact from King, who has recently been the heaviest fragging from an IGL that I've seen across any league.
Yeah, the calling, what was it, like 0.8 kills per round that he was on?
I mean, he's just been delivering. At various times, Valen has been outperforming him. You know, the peaks have been there, but in terms of consistency, throughout these games, since Shanghai, King has been on fire individually. The questions have come more around, what do the defensive setups look like? Is the calling there? Do they perform in big matches? But today, turning up. 3 rounds in a row from Lev. And like I said, that one off the back of a really wonky play to start things off. If they can recover even rounds like that, G2 are in trouble.
So Leviatán that pushed to the limit in the match the other day. As we've been saying, not a lot of time to rest, recuperate, prep even into this matchup against G2. But so far, looking well on their way to potentially stealing away this Haven map.
5 light armors here for G2, headed into Aspas, who has an outlaw. This looks like carnage on C.
Yeah, he might be about to clip farm. This guy, it's a drone in his face at least. We'll have to dodge this one. No one's ready here. Won't stretch as far though. Duration's going to be breaking. Still with that as well. Hopping, skipping, over and about. He's playing skip rope over at Man the Hunter's Fury in his face. Will not deny anything. He is lamping him up. My God. G2 left flustered into the mix. Wondering what went wrong there. Where was the possibilities? Couldn't get a handle or a grip. Losing control and sight now of the round. But at least they have the C site in its entirety. Still Lev are going to play this one with that discipline. They're holding, they're waiting. They know that the win cons are in their hands. A jiggle peek from Commie gets all the info that he needed.
They are giving G2 a little bit of space to work with, but obviously Leaf and Trent need kills here.
And it all comes down to this. Just missing the sides of each other.
Saw him.
Oh my goodness, Leaf just spotted and pinged out now. The rest of them hot on the heels. Patience played, but as they twist and turn around, only one to remain is Leaf. He's gone, he's finished. 5-2. Leviatán are just dominating this map.
Aspas having that Aspas impact. I called out the outlaw. It looked like he was set up to just plug people off. It's the ult in the end that gets the value. You see that all of the utility coming through is expecting a player to be behind Plat. They're not actually throwing that Sova ult to try to clear that corner. And so, huge amounts of utility and ults invested, but just a small gap that Aspas takes full advantage of.
And here's a full aggressive play here. Nothing being held back by G2. But you've got to take A in 2 waves of things, and he's already spotted out, and that's going to force it out into the open. Aspas will be traded. Gives up the gun too.
It's not the most useful gun to work with. Everybody on Lev has full armor. I think Icy's got to do more.
Tanked up, committing some ults.
Whoa!
All in Thunder, refinding Mazzino. And this is him just trying to make the play as well. Expecting that one, he's out open. Util away, oh my goodness, single digits of Halbert remaining. Will be dropped at least, and Analysis will come. He's got to do a lot, but still can. Not against the overwhelming pressure of G2, leaving it to that 2 versus 2. You can feel it. It's frantic.
This is where G2 need to calm things down. They got a 2v2, had weapon upgrades, Tex. Lever constantly looking for these moments to re-clear, to go for the solo pushes out. G2 now with the information, they know where both of these players are. They're going to look to try to book it in the other direction. Jonah with ult. This round now should be favored towards G2, but we've seen absolute madness so far.
Yeah, who knows which way it's going to be pivoting towards.
Spike planted.
Leviatán, Tex and King, shoulder to shoulder. Tex way ahead of the rest of his team, in fact. Look at this guy. It's all the way in through the back of the site.
A little bit of pressure first, then a breach ult, then the recon dart's going to come back online.
There's no way. The call's be made. They
know
on the first tap the Rolling Thunder's going to be coming out. Jump spot around, surely. Noise indicator. Jonah P's got a suspected to know it. They're walking right into him, and maybe just into the trap. But Trent, round and through, flanking around here. King, surely he's revealed it. Potentially, it's there.
The recon's good.
Yeah, forces him backing out. And now Trent knows he's not going to be sticking it. That is right on the money. I think King's going to stick it all the way, but he gets off it, hearing the footsteps, the rumbling coming straight towards him. And G2 barely squeezing away with a round.
It's another situation where Leviatán end up throwing away an anti-eco round. I don't mind the play from Aspas necessarily, but it is a little bit of an overinvestment. It's Mazzino once more. It's so strange to have a player who's clearly dominating and yet also making decisions that are tossing away some rounds that should be played a little more safely. The Mazzino breach ult and the follow-up off the back of it caused absolute chaos, in short, and the chaos is going to favor the team at the disadvantage. Can you get the good without the bad from Mazzino today? Can you allow him to play loosely and get all of the success of Lotus without the thrown rounds? I have no idea. And here comes G2 again.
Yep, might have another chance, I think, here. It's a Rolling Thunder again, sweeps through most of the site alongside the rest of the util. Aspas is early, been taken out again, takes us so far ahead of the rest of his team. He's praying that nobody will be onto him, but that high ground angle, Icy could see all 3 players versus the 5. Leviatán turn the tides of this one. You'd need a lot. And it might just not be possible.
They still have Flash, Paranoia, Recon. You know, the tools are there for them to be able to attempt to retake.
Backing away.
I'm a little surprised by that. I know it's a 3v5, but trying to do economy damage to G2, and with all of the util that Lev had available in that moment, I think it's worth a little bit of a punt in a spot like that. But it looks like they just want to maintain hold of the operator. Aspas, of course, the only player on Lev with really bad economy. He's been buying the big boomstick for himself.
Yeah.
So G2, that's a pretty easy one for them to get on the board. They just go for the breach ult into C, keep it simple.
I've got to say as well, one thing that's really subverted my expectations for this is I think the pace that G2 are coming at Leviatán all the time. There's a lot of these rounds that are opening up. They're just making the decision based off the first initial pieces of util. Leviatán are forced to take a timeout, step back, reassess. Losing those back-to-back rounds there. But yeah, it's a different look from G2. I mean, maybe potentially playing a part by the fact that they're in the finals here. Maybe feeling a little bit flustered, panicked, feeling like they have to make the plays in these moments.
I think so. I think that generally speaking, G2 have been horrendously calm under pressure. I mean, scary levels of calm under pressure. But this is a different beast. They've been in spots like this before, in stage 1, and they did end up losing to 100 Thieves.
You escaped the wall.
I agree with you, though. I think the frantic pace of this game, quite different to the last time we saw these 2 teams. And perhaps just because of the pressure of the moment. 4-5 can go in either direction. But a round win here for G2 would do some level of damage to the economy. And King still with 5k to work with. The fact that they saved in the previous round has given them a bit of a buffer to not worry about losing this one too much. They could even get the ult back online again. They know that Leaf has been putting this turret down on top of the headshot box at Grass. Does Aspas go for the early peek here and try to pick off the Sentinel on G2?
They might be looking for it. Glide forwards, maybe take that early time, but no, just holding it. Slightest of angles. And does Leaf step into it? That's the big question. Aspas, we know his reactions are up to scratch. Close quarters, in through the door. Leaf is gone!
Suddenly gaps emerge all over the map for G2. You're not sure if somebody's pushed out C, taken mid control. You feel pressured here to end A, but there's still a minute and 15 on the clock.
Rotation
you could still go and get info. They're going to come in.
They're rushing into it again once more. The anchoring player is still out through the back this time. Comp is deleted out through the back of the side. Finally, Mazzino cleaned up. It's still a multitude of damage that has been done, including the spike drop down towards the back. Finally reclaimed. Trent going for the plan, but it's still that 2v3. And as this smoke fades, options are plenty. Aspas misses it. And actually needed to take a risk like that. The duel is being earned. Drop down from Tex. I'm going to go for this one. A rapid play. Paranoia sets it up beautifully. And now that 2 versus 1. Trent up and above. The start will reveal quite a lot, but he needs to pick his timings well. It's attack. Recon dart is going to be broken. Doesn't know where the 2 of them are. Doesn't even know if they're still potentially now off of it. To their second tap. Waiting round. Shorty in his face. King needs to hit the shot and will. The IGL coming up with the goods. Buying his time, waiting to, I mean, there we go. Got to it eventually.
There wasn't much feeling in that, to be honest. His brain's being overworked thinking about the next round. How does Icy survive in this situation? Flashed up. Mazzino much more focused on shutting down the people coming in after the duelist and getting vindicated. by making that decision too, because Lev end up winning the round off the back of things. You see there how that early pick onto Leaf forced Valen's hand though, and played exactly into how Lev wanted the round to go.
Deep fault line. Com will be playing this position almost every single round.
But they
defense protocols.
They do change up who's around comps.
They do.
Sometimes it's Aspas, sometimes it's a 3-player stack like we saw in the previous round.
Here, it's King pressed up straight up against the wall here. Now, this drone needs to be broken. King, what is your exit strategy? I mean, Aftershock, TP away. Aspas is covering it. Cloudburst dropped down, maybe even just helped him escape. Leaf does answer though, returning with that fire and a rifle, still revealing it up. Now the Hunter's Fury is going to be offloaded. G2 again pick up that pace, increase that tempo, and taking the fight straight into that C side. Still, players approaching the position here. Lev not willing to give this one up, not without a scrap and a fight. And Joker P, yeah, no way out, man. There was an abundance of it. Shut down Aftershock, slow to a crawl. Did not stand a chance.
Trent's going to try to apply some pressure over towards A and pull people off the C side, but he could die to Tex.
He's got the spike and dropped from behind. Tex,
it's over.
It's the round-winning moment. There's nothing left really for Valorant to do. We'll try and keep this rifle.
2 and 8 from the attack side IGL, I think showcasing in the numbers how difficult he's found it to get a grasp on this game.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good idea at the beginning of Lotus, that first half, and then it all slipped away from him on his favored side. And now, with the opportunity to have his impact again on the attack side, he just hasn't been able to find it. Surely the rifle taken away from him. And one more chance for Valen to try to stun his impact on the game in round 12.
Yeah.
But it has all been Lev. I don't know how King kills Leaf in that spot either, but the Lev response to what's going on, the help utility, the constant people rotating over, G2 have not been able to find those gaps in the defensive setups at all.
Oh, and I think they've just been forcing the issue a little bit too much as well. Lev are so eager to take these fights to re-clear space, even if they're just doing it on their own.
And it's been working so well.
Yeah, they've just been disrupting the timings that G2 are taking. That's
no
TPT, that's committed by Valen. Out through the back, there was at least a dart there, and he has at least flashed up. Needs to be defended, no way. It's not being held down with Tex dropped. There's a potential for G2, even with those weaker weapons. Get that round and maybe make the half respectable. Dart over the top, Hunter's Fury now. This is all going to be used to see if they can claim at least one of the kills, one of the tags, at least damage done. Can't quite claim it.
They used Recon Dart in the midst of that to try to find the pick, so now they're not going to have it available to go for this retake. They can wall, they can paranoia, but G2 should be pretty solid here.
Aspas, he split up the site. The paranoia is perfect as well. Blinds it up towards the corner, but the release is being covered. No way! King! No way! 3 found in Com has been given this lifeline, but still too much to deal with. Expecting a Heaven player, just it, round and away, reload, and a stick. Com onto the defuse, Nano Swarm, narrowly avoided, half at least it's a wing on there, but he can't quite stick it again. Time running short, Leaf to deny.
A 7-5 half here that we end on then for Haven. A lifeline to grasp to for G2. This round given a little too easily. Tex overwhelmed in his anchor position. Mazzino, you see there saying, didn't notice the Omen ult coming through. In the midst of all of that chaos, Valen finding that final round, the final impact to make this one doable. Every pistol's gone the way of G2 so far. They look like they need another.
We'll see if the trend continues on for Haven. This has just been purely explosive so far, and plenty more to come.
What's good, everyone? We're outside at the block party. How you doing? All right. Incredible stuff. All right. Well, we got to do some business here real fast. Let's go ahead and talk about what we just saw in that first half. And boy, oh boy, in the beginning, it felt as if it was going to get a little muddy there. A lot of eco round wins on both sides of the field. But it's interesting to see how it all stabilized toward the mid.
And honestly, it did get muddy. I think that G2 gave a big opportunity to Lev in losing that first map. They came out here, they won 2 eco rounds in the first few rounds of this game and have catapulted that into a massive lead now with a lot of the same win conditions from map 1 continuing here with Mazzino and Otspots and how they're setting the team up for success in these early rounds.
Yeah, I mean, those early rounds, it allowed them to get the off in Otspots' hands very early on. He was super dominant holding down into C-Long. Even when he had the ult, getting 3 kills down there was absolutely insane. And this is a Leviatán that are winning map 1 ahead at the second half here.
Yeah.
Against a G2 that has won 3 out of 3 pistol rounds on the day, which is crazy.
Yeah, absolute insanity. We're going to be going back to the cast in a little bit, but first, we're going to give some free stuff!
I mean, GB, ever the showman. Ever the showman.
He knows what gets the people going.
Exactly. He knows how to work a crowd, and I respect it, man. But we are heading into that second pistol round here of a Haven. Just to set your sights onto this one here, and the analyst desk is right. G2 won 3 out of 3 so far. The ecos have been swinging wildly, oscillating back and forth, so maybe the advantage hasn't been that much there for them, but they'll be looking to potentially get another one under their belt. We'll see.
Trent has got to call for help here.
Yeah, already
make a decision. Do you anchor or do you leave?
It's a little bit of hesitancy still. There's defensive smokes that have been propped down and placed. Still, flashes evened out on either side, but no swings from G2. Players are barely in position onto the approach. But are they going to be ready for this one? Locking it down, pistols in hand. It's Leviatán who find the day, and the advantage now here for them.
That's such a sick idea from King.
What? Oh, how has that happened? Leaf's just wrapped his way all the way around, and the spike has been dropped down into short. King, suddenly, it's a 180. What should have been theirs. The timing was taken against them. That's Leaf giving them a taste of their own medicine. All those quirky timings that Leviatán was so eager to take as well. We're catching G2 off guard, but not this time. This time, man, all G2.
I was all ready to praise Lev for a great pistol round idea. King bought a shorty on the pistol round because he knows that that smoke is going to be thrown down on A. So look, he jumps into the smoke with a shorty, jumps out of it. Lev have got this round, and again, a G2 player steps up and saves the pistol. Very similar to round 1 on this map, where both felt like better ideas from Lev, and yet G2 come through 4 out of 4 pistols secured, and still looking like the team on the back foot in this game.
Yeah. Matters into his own hands here. Nice, he can't quite dodge fault line in his face. But he won't be feeling too much more past that. Lev just inserting King into this forward spot out towards C, and now it looks like the goal might be a little bit of A pressure, maybe the orb if it can still be reclaimed.
This is the kind of stuff that Valen wasn't really calling on his attack side. These slower rounds where the burst of early map control inserts a player there. Perhaps they were worried about contacting into the Aspas AWP later on. Or maybe thinking that Lev would go for reclears and people in these inserted positions would die.
Only text revealed by the drone.
Well, Trent forced to take a risk here on the anti-eco, but he does get good information back for the team. With the one-way short and the jiggle peek A, you're feeling fairly good that it's headed in a different direction.
Onto the eco. Very quickly, this could turn onto the heads of these G2 players. Starting to get a move on now. Nanoswarms at least will delay this one. It's still going to be attempted to come through by Leviatán as well. Through and back, and the stuns do their job. Icy, he can't quite stand his ground and take the shot. He was hoping to see if he can push them back, but it's an open sight gained and granted now for Leviatán. Come with the plant.
Spike planted.
Texas being watched for. Fault line as well. These shock darts, where the hell are these coming from? Leaf is dropped, and you can't let this escape you. Another pistol round into a Thrifty would just be dire for G2. Got to try and take this one now. Potentially together with that utility in hands. Well, they just sweep through them.
Safe hands from G2 this time at least. So they've drawn things back, level 7-7. this round, we saw Trent pushing out over towards A. The flank didn't actually end up having the value. He reconnected with the rest of his team. But that means that 2 out of 2 times on the defense here, and what a ridiculous shot that is. 2 out of 2 times we've seen somebody push aggro as the execute is coming through. Leaf got that flank timing on the pistol, and now Trent's trying to do it on the other side. Something to keep an eye on. It's tough to go for those kind of defense side pushes and not get punished, especially when you should be running into the trips from Tex.
Heavy lean though from Lev here.
Blocking sight.
The dart over the top, that was dealt with as well. Cleaned up. Icy still looking it down, but with that outlaw in hand. Nails a shot into Mazina, but unfortunately not enough damage. No half armor in sight.
I think that's an extremely bold play to go for. You know, even if you're peeking into one, they're probably going to have full armor.
And here comes the play here. Just a drone supplemented in. Buys him a bit of that space and time. It's an aftershock up into the corner as well, but it's being thrown out on Ivan's sides here. It's an even exchange with the util and potentially the guns to make a difference. Lee, he tucks himself up and cuts it up close into the corner. Mazzino! He's delivering death blows, man, raining them down onto G2. And the options limited now for Trent to go for. He's playing a bit fast and loose into this, but it's a 1v3 and you've got to do it. Still doubled up. The discipline will sail it away for a 11-round win.
If Mazzino keeps finding impact like this in the middle of rounds to pick up 2 kills, 3 kills, these big multi-round series of kills are the thing that rocketed them to success late on Lotus. He's so sharp with it in these scrappy moments. He's not rocketed up towards the top of the scoreboard just yet. And G2, Leaf once more, I mean, investing into the bonus round, so he ends up round 16 with a Stinger light armor. We saw this on Lotus as well. It does confuse me.
Economy's going to be lacked in that certain aspect here. Still, it's slow and steady by Leviatán, all holding out through a lobby. It's a stun on the ball. Wait, is this play that's occurring here with the Hunter's Fury? At least it does supplement it, but that's at least on the attack side. They're just trying to offset this one here. Aspas glides into the fight, willing to take it. And heads are being ripped clean off in the process. Deep lurks occurring. Jonah P and Valen have got to lock down their sections of the site. They're still locking this down, but time has been bought. And that's for the Tex wrap around here. Strikes them right where it hurts. Right where they weren't looking here, but they still haven't dealt with Jonah P. All being considered. Rolling Thunder to at least delay, push them back, and around Mazzino. He's on an island, needs to be covered here. Not doubled up by the players of Lev. Still eager to take the fight, but through the box, Aspas will land those shots. Leaf, he was out of the fight this entire time, just wondering which direction to even take it, but now, finally, making his moves.
He broke 2 trips. One over here, one over here. They realize that Leaf is probably going to be behind. That's why Leviatán are checking short.
The plan isn't even good for them either. Here, Leaf, potentially a great spot, but with Mazzino's ult online, the tap is in order. He's not going to be able to get a half, is he? Aspas knows it. He's running him down here. Kicks it into overdrive.
Go, go, go.
Nicely done from Leviatán. As I said, as soon as Leaf was breaking the trips outside C and then outside A, Lev responded by looking to try to take spawn control. I mean, reacting very nicely to what was going on there. Even with Jonah P throwing out the breach ult in the midst of all of it. The gaps that Lev are finding already early in this half, G2 didn't find a single time. And Tex lurks his way through B for the backstab, taking out Valen in that spot off the back of all of the pressure. Way better attack side calling already. King subverting our expectations.
Yeah, expecting that battle of the IGLs as well, where Valen would be holding that potential advantage. It just hasn't been the case. Cool, calm and collected. It feels like Lev entering this grand finals from the lower bracket, not flustered, in control.
This time, the C pressure does not leave somebody inserted. So balancing that out, sometimes depositing somebody in that cubby, sometimes not. Always threatening that they could be going in a different direction. Can they dodge this drone?
Right here.
Doesn't see...
Yeah, doesn't see anybody.
Doesn't see anyone, I don't think. There was a ping, though. And people are starting to come to A.
They're not really ready for anchoring utility. G2, these players are going to be overwhelmed. They don't even have the weapons for the job.
Take flight.
Giving up all this space out towards A, and now you're going to see the util exploding out onwards. That's a shock tower. Will at least take him out of the drone animation. Not going to have that one to set the stage in through this A side. Instead, a pause has been called by Lev, but now looking to try and strike straight through and around as a smoke into their faces, but they do need to deal with lighting these players up. Util is plentiful, and the rifles alongside it. Leviatán very clear in terms of how they wanted to take this round of this site in general. The game plans are definitely there for them. It's a paranoia that's used basically in vain. No follow-up from it. Only 2 to remain here from G2.
One enemy remaining.
Not long for this world, it seems.
Lev have put some serious work into building out attacking protocols on this map. Not only is their macro pathing really nice, but as soon as they get to A and they realize that VALORANT's defensive smoke is going to be up, they've got multiple ways of dealing with it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's going to be King jumping in there with a shorty, like on the pistol round. Other times, they throw a stun in there with the shock dart to try to clear it out before going through it. They've got Sova utility that they can use to clear it too. Look at the amount of pressure being put there onto Icy and Jonah P when they tried to play around the smoke. Last year, when we had the Viper meta, a smoke in that spot, teams just did not know what to do. You're seeing the constant evolution of the game. And Lev, really impressive the way that they've come into this match. Super prepared.
It looks excellent. Top to bottom. Tiny little changes, and even this one throwing it in. Look at this, all this pressure applied. Aspas is trying to squeeze these players. They might be anchoring into the link, but rifle in hand. Valin will save the day just for now. Potentially with that lifeline, and now a Hunter's Fury. Trent will take spotted out, lit up like a beacon. Mazzino through and out, side by side here, alongside the flash as well. Was an anti-position that's played and swinging out wide into it. Do not let this slip, G2. But a massive advantage leading into this. Leviatán in the middle of all this chaos as well have managed to carve out a place onto the seaside. It's a plant down now.
Com has to be the difference maker. He knows he's got to make the play.
Doubled up through, in through Garage, Icy, and Trent. Combine their might there, at least to drop those players. So G2 not out of the fight just yet.
No, a set play, straight from the strat book out of Leviatán. Different to what they've been running, usually going for that more defaulty approach. And this time G2 come up with the answer very quickly. It's one that they've seen before. The fake B exec into applying a lot of pressure to top garage. Then the strat that teams have run for a long time, and G2 with the protocol nicely deal with it. One away from having a Hunter's Fury there for Com. Leaf on the other side. One away from the lockdown. Might be a bit of a race as to whether Leaf can get it in this round before Com has the answer.
I'm looking at Icy with his op too. Potentially stunned off the line, but he might be able to tuck if he's fast. Fault line for a fault line. Just being held by Mazzino. It's a dart. Being exchanged on either side as well. TP from King is good to cut this up.
Dart didn't get broken, so he doesn't go for the stun. Is he going to pop it out again?
Smoked off though. No. Drone deep down A short.
You can tell though that they're aware that Icy could have an operator. They're keeping track of the economy pretty nicely. But that fault line has been saved. How do they navigate this? It seems like King has a read that the op is playing A long.
It's a pretty heavy one. And Texas entire time, he made sure that nobody could cross the boundary straight down mid. Leviatán now all grouped up. Once more, looking to light up this B site, potentially get that plant down on top of it. Tex has been eager to take these timers against them. The alarm bots.
Inch by inch.
Yeah. It's going to be holding them back. Mazzino with a plan. There was nothing to push this away here. So Leviatán now going into the post plant, and it's all about how you play. With Tex removed, that's one problem out of the picture here for them. With a lockdown now dropped down, that's also going to be creating some opportunities. G2 pushing back these players. Leviatán out and away in through the window. Leaf just takes a peek at just the wrong timing there. Unfortunate not to get a kill, and Trent also wrapping all the way around. Is it going to be watched? Plenty of backs towards him. They know how this one's being played. Valin, a tap onto the defuse as well. Noise and chaos into the mix. It's pandemonium, but maybe that's where they might thrive. Trent delivers it. A death blow straight from behind. A full flank paying off. Rifles in hand, but not enough to stop the defuse.
Slightly concerning towards the end there that they gave Com the double, but generally speaking, lovely defensive setups again from G2. I spoke about the battle of getting that lockdown online before the Hunter's Fury is able to counter it. And that's what really makes the difference here. I think Tex did a great job at slowly slinking his way into position, but he just picked a slightly wrong timing. Leaf gets the kill, lockdown's online, and then the taps on the defuse is just fake pressure to allow Trent and Leaf to get those flank plays working. Very nicely done there. And again, Leaf beating Com to the punch on the ultimate, getting it online in round 19, ended up being all the difference maker. Lev now take a timeout. I think the slow rounds were still working very nicely for them. Their ability to push Tex into backstab positions, I think he should have a pretty nice read on where Leaf is placing all of his Killjoy utility at this point.
Yeah, it feels like it's been getting a ton of value throughout the second half, but last 2 rounds, the G2 have been able to win for whatever reason, you know, forcing Lev to hit that panic button, discuss it and talk it out, because you are right, you know, the slow play. Tex has been finding all sorts of gaps in those defensive protocols.
And what a battle that is between the 2 Sentinel players. Tex replaced from the G2 roster. Leaf originally was coming in to play Duelist. It didn't work. They had to pivot things around, remove another player, net, and put Icy in.
There's not as much bad blood between these 2 teams, but Tex did say today in the pre-show that a win here today, this would probably be one of the most impactful highlights of his career.
Yeah.
Just because it would be against, you know, his former compatriots, his former teammates.
I think that resentment from early on in the season has been hardened into some cold determination to try to rise above this G2 roster that replaced him.
This is very different from G2. There's nothing to set up Icy with this operator. He's very much alone over towards A. In an almost committed position. Lev have walked all the way up, but so has G2. With the wall up in his face alongside the util, he will respect it. He's backed out and away in his flank now. Has to be the defining moment here for G2 as well, as they're wrapping this all the way through. Putting a bit of tempo into it. The dart is dealt with. Drone as well. Now going to be supplementing. Tex might even just press the advantage and push forward. So this one, have they missed Leaf? That's the question here. Shoulders peeking out. Tex still opts into it.
That's a great
fight. One out. Hunter's Fury just from the low ground. Aftershocks all combined. And the fall damage for it. Trent and Icy left alone here. Aspas, this guy. Precision is off the charts.
G2 on that round were trying to make it impossible for Lev to figure out how many are on the flank and how many are in spawn and heaven. They push 4 players on the flank and then Valen ults back into heaven to make it impossible for Lev to react in a certain direction. But the Lev players just end up finding so much value stuck on the site.
Yeah.
Aspas with 2 brilliant kills and a 3rd to follow up towards the end. And then on top of that, being able to deal with those players, I mean, it should have been a very difficult situation for Leviatán. But the player quality, the game IQ, off the charts.
Exactly.
That is not one that you're going to be able to scrim a spot like that.
No, I was just thinking that, man. I mean, from an individual basis, the reason why we highlight Aspas as potentially the greatest player of all time. Now, listen, for this year, that's yet to be decided. Champs, I think, is going to be the stage that's set that this team will be heading to, both of these teams, to decide potentially that. But at least the best in Americas for now. He's already lifted a trophy last year in the region. He already cemented that. And now he wants to build for himself a legacy. That right there is what he's after.
What a decision for Aspas as well this year to leave Loud, who lifted the trophy in Americas, the winners last year of our regional league. They decided to part from them, which had been such a winning roster, and go towards this international super team, take a new challenge, come in English, figure out how to work with a new team culture. Aspas went from ranked to world-renowned superstar on Loud, and now he's trying to have that same level of success and lift trophies with Leviatán.
Different team environment. They've had their troubles, but for now, that's what it all comes down to. All the hardship, all the improvements. Cloudburst to counteract that one, but giving up the side of C. Fully up now for Leviatán. They're going to be able to get this plant down once more. Maybe a tap to bait something out, but no, Mazzino going for the full stick. The position is theirs, onto the side. Drone tags.
Do you want to go aggressive with the breach ult?
They do. It's a rolling thunder. It's already going to be queued up. Mazzino holding this one for a rainy day, and that's right now. Here, stand up still. Covered by Icy. Wasn't actually stunned from that one, so it's quick to trade it out. Let's put a pause into that tempo increase by Lev, but maybe just enough, not quite. Aspas, that high ground, perched up. Angle swing from Tex again. Sky has got the confidence, but lines it up for Leaf. And Com now up onto the flank position. More than noted. Trent can stick this one with full safety. Acknowledgement that this team's got his back. There's nothing to push him back and away.
That 2K from Leaf could not be more important. As soon as you see Com going for the flank like that, you can see he's going to run into the alarm bot. So if Leaf stays alive, they're going to have that info. Leaf didn't just stay alive, he destroyed them!
Oh, yeah. You're starting to see him come alive in this map. He's top of the scoreboard for his team, leading it. We've seen it happen with Leaf when he's on the killjoy occasionally.
Enemy remaining.
He will just take over a map for his team. He'll be that difference maker. Impactful frags right when his team needs it.
Absolutely. And a lot of the time on the defense by getting involved in fights you wouldn't expect. Trent flashed, missed the shock. A little bit of panic there. Lev setting their sights with only a 1-round lead on the C site.
Again, what's the play here for Valorant? There's a wall up. They've been giving this one up, trying to play the retake. It's worked for them so far. Same game plan. Drone used to try and clear out through. Valin even a bit cheeky with it here. Fault line stunned up as well. They're going to be wrapping around. I see. He's delivering them, at least potentially, to a win. Still, he's cleaned up, overextends his hands, and come inside the smoke, trying to take that timing down to just King. With a dart to deal with, off to the side, just pokes out from the shield below. Okay, traces. They point out his position. And G2 happy to spoil the party with that one. So 11-11 is where we stand.
A mirror image of map 1 on Lotus. G2 now the team on their defense side that's starting to come back into the game and find their rhythm. I felt like the attack side calling was going really well for King early on in this half. And now, individuals from G2 stepping up when it matters, getting opening kills. And there's an example. Valen picks up Aspas mid-slide. Not the kind of area where you expect Aspas to fall. He himself would have thought he was fairly safe there. Oh, and that is not what you want to see early on. You can't allow the frustration to get to you. We're only in map 2. This could be going all the way to map 5, as it did yesterday for King.
Your endurance is going to be tested, your ability to deal with rounds that just don't quite go your way. For G2 though, these ults have been earned. Hunter's Fury, Rolling Thunder, Deep Shock Dart. It's going to be breaking most of the initial util out and through as well. Leviatán trying to make this one feel like they potentially are squeezing, but it's committed in still. An offset again by that util. Now ultimate coming in handy. The Rolling Thunder, it stunted the entirety of the push. Leviatán have no options now but to once more pause into the round.
How would King and Com recover this one? It doesn't seem possible. That opening gambit failed.
I see. Dash active, sees one, knows a second, it's closely behind. And like you said, Josh, how would they recover it? The chances were minute at best. 12-11, G2 now. It's map point.
They take the lead, they're in the ascendancy. Economy flourishing. So different to earlier points in the game where it felt like G2 was on the back foot. They got the read now, they're in the rhythm. It feels like they're getting an idea about where Lev are going to end. And then just setting up to ambush them with huge amounts of util. Icy too, finding his moments here. Up online.
This time he's going to be tested, but Leviatán are the ones who want to try and at least find a way to pay forward into this A site. Where's the defensive utility? It's flying up and over, sailing past. Leviatán are going to be given again easy access. The retakes have been working for G2, so why would you mix it up?
At the same time here, King, Paranoia, Bazino, Aftershock, these are difficult pieces of utility to get through. You've got to bait them out before you go for the retake.
That means going blow for blow, at least with that U2. You need to at least make an emphasis, G2, to pull it out of them. Ice cold so far from the Leviatán. It's a Paranoia. For a Paranoia, it's traded evenly again, but there's kills still flooding in as well. Players out of heaven. Com just delivering it again, straight to them. The feed is filled up entirely with red here. An inevitability that we go to OT once more.
Switching sides.
Of course we're here again. Neither team able to get an inch over the other, back and forth the whole time. G2 failed to bait out that post-plant utility. Icy committed off the first wave. There was no phase 2 to this. Perhaps just a hint of that earlier flustering that we were detecting within G2. They had a chance. And it slipped.
Now back to the reset here. 12-12, first round of OT for Haven. G2 will not want to let this one slip away. Going down 2 maps early in the best of 5. At that point, almost calling it curtains. It's a very rare feat indeed to try and battle back at that point.
Push down mid.
Yeah, this is going to be breaking at least that turret, forcing potentially that reaction once more out of G2. They are going slight amount of pace again, but the rotations are happening by Lev. They're already here.
This is where G2 need to pump the brakes, but in regulation time, we saw them commit over and over again. It does seem like they've just cooled off slightly.
It's a 5-player stack.
Yeah, but they're pretty confident because of these trips on the rest of the map, you know? Tex is giving them good information in Garage. Leaf needs to get a bit more aggressive and break that util. But I think he's worried because he kept running into Aspas earlier on.
Placing swarm grenade.
Leaf has not seen anything.
Swarm grenade out.
Smoke. Nana Swarm dart into the back. They want to make this one feel like it's the B hit coming through. Again, it's just to pull players away, potentially to make the A side a little bit more easier. Leaf, timing! He takes it straight to him now, but they're not expecting that. Cut up into the corner once more, Mazzino. He's there, defending from the side. Valid has to respond, and does. Jonah P, up and through. Aspas, adjusting, movement, not enough to survive. G2 find the 13.
What a play, what a call from G2 there. Now that is what you're expecting from a player, Valen, who's been looking like the best attack side caller in the game recently. They make it feel like a B fake, but part of the B fake inserts Leaf into a tough position, and that lets them get into A and have a backstab happening at the same time. Even as Leaf only goes 1-for-1, the rest of G2 able to trade out on site. Hugely important individual kills to be had there. And Aspas couldn't go more than one in that position. Still having a much, much better Haven performance, by the way, than he did against Crew. And I think that's part of the reason why we're just dead level right now. G2 are going to take attack timeout to try to close this one.
Going to miss for them on the defensive half. Ever so slightly.
They had a string of retakes, though, where G2 were looking real clean. And especially when Lev are not going to have any ults to work with on their attack side.
But yeah, I mean, what you're seeing, I think, is Lev defaulting into a very contacting play. Saving the util once they get onto the sites. And then once you're in that spot, you have util to be used again. I said it earlier, blow for blow, pound for pound, you can use it to equalize and just deny G2 from even getting in through the front door. So maybe that's part of the reason why timeout was called by G2. Maybe they want to adjust some of their game plan, not give up some of these sides so freely and try to play for those retakes now that Lev have made those adjustments.
Icy's picking up the glass cannon operator again, though. I don't think he's found too much value with this weapon. Lev tend to invest some of their refreshable utility early to make sure he can't get posted onto the most aggressive sidelines. Stun, recon used, this kind of util is going to be back online. So it's not as important to save that for a post-plant situation.
Haven't been too many B-pops by Lev, except when they've been on the weaker weaponry and at least regulation.
But it has been a spot that Tex has been going towards, so it might be that Icy is not really hoping to catch the full team, but just hoping that either he or Leaf can get rid of this lurker.
One individual, G2. It's Valen onto the high ground. He's making sure that he has control of that A short angle. They've got to be worried about the A pop as well from long. Lever setting up now for it. It's going to be util up into their hands. Kills could be happening here. Might see the feed filled up. Snaps to the side. That is just an unfortunate timing. And now a pivot. Ute's getting that kill. Valen's got nothing to do with it. It's just spotted out. Yes, Valen almost there with a kill, but not quite. Now getting a run on. Scampering their way over towards the C site.
30 seconds left.
Time is of the essence, though. Only 30 seconds left. Still, there'll be nobody from G2 to respond and at least receive this. No welcoming party. It will be potentially that easy plant. Leaf is eager to see if he can take that fight.
That was the last piece of breach utility used from Mazzino. Both teams still holding on to Paranoia.
Survival in the map. It's necessary that Lev just hold on to this one here. Got an iron grip so far towards the back of the site, but that might just get dislodged here with the paranoia. Straight through, it's a stun again! Jonah P! It's util out into the open as well. Maybe that flustered element playing a part. Tex has just dominated!
What a play! Another 4K for him in a huge round. It's gotta be bittersweet for G2 looking across the stage and seeing a guy that you had so much camaraderie with just tear you apart in a round like this. Lacey did his best to try to hit the flick shot, but they're so clean from Tex to open and to close. We go again.
We go again. It's 13-13. The round's already beginning. There's a full group up stack from either side. They look like they want to clash. It's a skirmish opted into by either side. Revealed up. It's chaos. But who will thrive in the moment? Leviatán finding the advantages, finding the kills. Up ahead by one player, but G2 make full usage of it. Already lurking up into the spot, and they hear this drone in the clear, and Shona P. It just fades away! And the spray transit just cannot be completed. Mazzino again there with the trade. The plant, though, it's down. Rolling Thunder, this is to clear out the front section. Nobody going to be playing there still. Gives them that peace of mind.
Mazzino's been so big in OT rounds for Lev.
And just catching this one. Barrel, betrayed by it. Trent didn't stand a chance. As Tex collects, it's up to Leaf. Dart out open, shots fired. Revealing all Leaf. Inevitable here. And he falls once more here. Leviatán. A 14th round, leading by one, but all they need is one more step.
The pressure is back onto G2.
Switching sides.
Tension between these two on stage.
That goes there.
What a skirmish towards the bottom of short this was. I feel like any time you've got these chaotic situations though, Mazzino thrives. Sure, we've seen him misstep sometimes when he should be playing a bit more structured, but if you opt into his chaos, if you go into his domain, he's gonna come up with three in a bonkers spot like that and carry Lev through.
And once more, this could end in a clean sweep fashion. It could be explosive. Both of these teams just trying to bait out the util. G2 going for a full play into this. A flash and a paranoia. It's all delayed. They need to save Aspat. He's perched up, locked up into the corner again. The guns are throwing. The bodies are dropping. 2 versus 3. And still fighting. Still clawing back. Looking for the opportunity to at least make their mark. And G2 survive in this map.
That's a massive win for G2. The huge trade out there. The fact that Aspas was trapped ended up giving G2 the advantage. Now they must not let it slip in order to drag us into another round of OT. And for Tex and King, it's about finding these gaps, slowing the round down and hoping that the defense spreads out, diffuses, opens the opportunities. It is only Trent here. He's got a recon and a spot in heaven.
And honestly, too much to look for. When you're playing retake onto A at that angle, he doesn't know if they've lurked up short, which is exactly the play in mind.
I like this more passive position. Just watching to make sure that Lev couldn't over-push from A through to the connector. They're going to be forced to plant here, and you can just play the advantage.
Body, it's out when he opened, it's through the cage, he gives Trent the timing, and he'll take it. Rewarded for it, King. Double digits of health, there's no way in hell. A tap, a stun, just about missed somehow. With only 15 seconds left to play with, the squeeze is on. Leaf rapidly approaching, knife in hand. Cautious, but G2 take it anyway. 14-14, we go again.
So different to the last time these two teams played. Much more even. Anybody's to win. The further you get, the more it's going to be small adaptations. Have we seen G2 fight this hard, tooth and nail? Over A lobby control? Not so much. But they throw it in, willing to take the risk and fight for the round within the first 5 to 10 seconds. Lev, though, have been doing these triple pushes down mid. We've seen them go for this to try to break the Killjoy utility early on. Is there a read? Does it get value?
Positioning of G2 spread out. Doesn't look like an all-in. Looks like they're just trying to feign presence over towards C. Pull those rotations away. Deep down mids. Lev will give it up.
The C fake here does seem to be working, but Con staying on this line.
jiggling. This is the danger zone that you're working with. Yes, you pulled the players over, but only for now.
I think you've got to realize at this point it was a fake. No follow-up on the C utility. Lev gonna double push out garage.
They can never go of it here. There's no util. But now, at least spotted. Nothing being disguised here. They've taken up that mid-control once more. The util just to stop them. There's still a minute left on the clock in this round here.
So all of this fake pressure just to take A long control for free without having to worry about running into a potential Aspas glass cannon operator. And Lev are constantly trying to contact re-clearing spots. They're dealing with A right now. Here comes the B fake. It is going to end A. This is a massive clash.
Plays at the back here. There's an updraft to Dart. Is avoided, dodged away. Crouched to the back as well, but his players are over towards A once more. It's a clash occurring on multiple fronts. Aspas cuts it up. Close to the corner. Spotted them out wide as well, but being defended. The rifles spraying and praying. Still locking it down. Out through short. Nobody dealt with Tex. And this is just key. Trent had an opportunity, but it's all been stolen away.
What timing from Lev! They're so bold to be going for these contact re-clears around the map. They pushed out garage. They pushed out mid at the beginning of the round for starters.
All over the place.
Then they pushed out garage. Then they re-cleared over towards short, constantly grouping up and trying to regain information on their defense side, not allowing Valid to win the informational war. And that one towards the end from King is mockery. Turning Trent's attempt into the core jester. Lev, they themselves now have a map point.
And then Haven here sets them up beautifully. Aspas, my goodness, he's glided right into the fray. To wall up in their face as well. This relentless pressure. He's so damn eager for it. Icy though will defend. Mazzino still. He's there with a bullet straight through and beyond, and just indecisiveness. G2 have crumbled. 2 left to stand, 2 left to pick up the pieces, but Mazzino another ult earned. And a rolling thunder. Might be all that's necessary to close this one out. Peeking through it. Advantage is found. And a map win in sight. Leviatán. They've come out swinging from the lower bracket.
Going out.
And now in our grand finals, stage being set for an early 2-0, leading by those maps. With all odds stacked against them. And Valen can do naught but cower, man, in this spot. The util, the obstacles, too much to face. The time is running short and the bullet ends it.
Attackers win.
16-14. These teams are pushing each other to the brink. But again, that early advantage in maps, it lends the way towards Leviatán.
If G2 want to come back into this series, it's going to have to be a reverse sweep for the trophy. A chance here that Valen could end up going home empty-handed again in the same position, watching his opponent lift the trophy. And for a moment, again, can we dwell on Mazzino? 4 breach ults in OT in this match so far? What is this?
The level that he is stepping up is ludicrous. They have absolutely taken their turns to turn up at Leviatán right now. Online with form, the calling is good. They're being pushed every single way, but the series still yet to be played. Don't go anywhere.
Every time I needed a new phone, I had to switch carriers.
I told him, at Verizon, everyone can get the best deals. Like that iPhone 15 on them.
Switching all the time, it wasn't easy.
35. You're gonna be here forever.
And
Here's your wireless contract.
do I need a lawyer for this? Those were hard days.
Representative, switch!
Now that I got a huge storage and battery upgrade, I'm officially done switching.
New and existing customers get iPhone 15 on us when they trade in any iPhone, any condition, guaranteed.
I really wish you told me sooner.
I did.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings. Wow.